We'll often do stories about promising cancer treatments, an upcoming cure for a particular type of cancer, or a medication that worked really well in a small trial and was about to enter the next phase of clinical trials for FDA approval. Whatever happens to those, Lewis often says, we will never hear about this again. And that is actually often true. And now researchers have quantified how often the sort of baseless overhype occurs. And it's actually pretty common. As Vox writes, a group of American cancer researchers writing in this week's issue of the JAMA Oncology Journal measured how often 10 superlatives were used to describe cancer drugs in the press. This includes words like breakthrough, game changer, miracle, cure, home run, revolutionary, transformative, lifesaver, etc. Groundbreaking and marvel, I think, were the other two. They searched Google News to see when the phrases were used in connection with cancer drugs, and then they followed up to see if those drugs were ultimately approved. In half the cases, these terms were used to describe medicines that weren't even yet approved by regulators. So not only were they not available to patients, they hadn't even passed FDA scrutiny yet. And even worse, 14% of the time that those superlative terms were used, the drugs had no human data behind them at all, which means that sometimes the term miracle or cure was used about something that had only been tested on mice or maybe even just cell cultures. So who do we blame for the overhype? Vox says, and as Vox writes, the journal says that the terms are often deployed by journalists, but not always, that in 30% of the cases, it's the doctors themselves who use language like, oh, this is a miracle, or this is a game changer about a new cancer drug. What we try to do on this show is report on not only new possibilities that are a little more advanced in terms of the trials that have been done, but we try to talk about, more broadly speaking, what's on the horizon with cancer treatment. And for example, we recently interviewed Dr. Lance Leota, who said there is really no such thing as a singular cancer treatment or cure, and there likely won't be. We're going in the direction of different treatments and different possible cures for not only different types of cancers, but as Dr. Leota said, individualized treatments or individualized therapy, even for the same cancers in different people. Lots of promise right now with the individualized therapy component, lots of promise with using viruses in different situations to treat different types of cancer. The only sort of general cancer cure that there might be would be, I don't know, genetic editing to give people sort of like do error correction in their bodies so that cancer is less likely to develop. And even that would probably be, for different types of cancers, maybe different types of genetic editing if that were ever to become possible. So I think it's important not only to remember that we should look at how far in the trial process new medications may be, but also to remember that a cure for cancer is probably not going to be a thing. We're talking about different cures and different applications for different cancers and different people. And I would encourage you to go and check out that interview with Dr. Lance Leota for more information about this.